Hello, Armoured Pants here, and I have the fourth video for you, the German line, the Tier 4, the Panzer 4D, a complete guide. As always, we're going to look at the tech spec first, we're going to use blitzhanger.com. Now, the Panzer 4D used to be my favourite tank in Tier 4. It used to be a brilliant tank until 5.5 when they nerfed many of the tanks in lower tiers. But it's still nonetheless a great tank and one you'll enjoy playing. It costs 45,000 credits, 2,500 XP. In terms of equipment, I will set it up using, as always, gun rammer to maximise the shell reload time. I will use supercharged. I'm going to use refined gun. The tank has a 75mm gun, which is very good. It will do damage from 120 up to 140. It has APCR shells and AP shells. Just a quick recap on when to use APC or when to use AP. AP is your standard round, as you know, and we'll go through most things. However, some tanks you will need an extra bit of penetration to go through them, so you will use APCR. APCR is armor piercing composite round. It does less damage per round, but it has far more penetration. Therefore, when to use it: when you see a tank that is red and you can't pay with an AP round, open the ammo selector, select APCR, fire the APCR round, and it'll go through. This is particularly relevant if you're up tiered. If you're up tiered and you're facing tier 5 tanks, particularly a KV1 or a VK3001 or a T1 Heavy, etc., you will need APCR rounds to pen them, especially front on. So make sure you have them loaded up. They cost gold, but you can also buy them for credits. So if you click on them where the icon is in the provision section, when you're loading up your ammo, you'll be able to switch to credits, and I recommend you do that. Don't pay gold for them. The tank is pretty fast. It does 42 kilometers in a straight line, 18 kilometers backwards. It has a decent armor profile. It will bounce some shots for you, especially if you used enhanced armor, which I always do. The gun mantlet is impenetrable, and it will bounce some shots for you even off the back, particularly if you're moving. It has it will create awkward angles when you're moving, especially at full speed, and you will bounce some shots. Here we're looking at it in tier 4 battles. You can see it has some red bits, some purple bits, orange bits, etc. It will bounce some shells, but remember, that's front on. If you look above again, we see that at an angle it's more orange. So this is called angling. So rather than have your armor flat onto the enemy, if you move at an angle, let's say anything from 30 to 60 degrees, create an angle which effectively gives you thicker armor. The millimeters are effectively thicker, and therefore you will get more bounces, and that's called angling. And you should at this stage know how to do that, because we've covered it in previous videos. But if not, no worries. When you're front on to a tank and he's going to fire at you, just move slightly, angle your tank to about 45 degrees, and you have a very good chance of bouncing it. And remember, moving is grooving, stopping is dropping, so never stand still, never give the enemy an easy target. This tank, in terms of its tactics, well, it's pretty good at most things. It can go spotting, 1v1 brawl, circle of death, long range sniping. It's pretty good at all of those things, as indeed the Panzer IV was. Historically, it was a very good tank. Again, with regard to angling, the thing to remember is it's flat surfaces versus angled surfaces. Angled surfaces are effectively thicker, and we should always remember that and make sure and allow us the chance of maximising the most bounces that we have. And remember, you load up APCR rounds because you will need them, and it's better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. Now let's have a look at some gameplay. And also let's have a look at the map tactics, because this is for Despair, a map that you will play very often at the lower tiers, along with Mirage and Mines, the 3 most popular maps at the lower tiers. Now, I'm in a medium tank, which means it's pretty fast, and my job should be spotting. So as always in this map, and if you've seen my other videos, this is what I often do. I will go straight through here, not stopping. I'm going to pass go, collect 200 cash, and I'm going to go straight up this hill and use the bushes as soft cover. I'm just going to pop my nose over and see if I can spot the enemy. In terms of game mechanics, by the way, there is a sensor in the front of the tank, just behind the turret, that allows you to spot the enemy without actually sticking the full body of the tank over. So just be aware of that. So once you stick your nose over, the sensor will pick up enemy tanks, and allows you to spot them up for your team and for yourself without actually putting yourself in danger. Now, I did mention that this tank has a very good gun, but in this game, the gods of RNG, random number generation, are against me, and I miss quite a few shots and get a lot of ghost shots that normally would go through. But sometimes that happens in games, and it is down to RNG, which is random number generation. So there isn't really a lot you can do about it. You see there, I bounced a shot from the left hand side, and that's because I was moving so fast. So I said to you, if you move at top speed, you have a much better chance of bouncing a shot than if you're just moving slowly or sitting still. That's why I say stopping is dropping. Easy to remember, not always easy to do, of course, but I always try to move. It makes it much more difficult for the enemy to hit you, and if they do get a shot on you, it's going to be far more difficult and take them a lot longer to aim, etc. There, another bounce. Again, because when I fired that shot, I was moving backwards and moving my turret. So I bounced that shot from the A20. Now I'm going to come up on the A20 and I'm going to put one into him here. I shot into him, he doesn't get one into me. Back off, stay in cover while I'm reloading. Our golden rule is when you're inactive, which is effectively when you're reloading, stay in cover and only come out when you're ready to fire. That minimises the amount of time that you're exposed and minimises the amount of time the enemy has to shoot at you. Now I'm just allowing this guy to have a look at my friend here in the other Panzer 4D. Again, I'm using him as cover. I'm going to pop up here as soon as I'm ready, and I don't even need to. My friend takes him out. So that's some good team play from us there. Double tagged him like in WWE. I'm going to see if I can get a shot on this. He's a one shot for me, but no, I can't get him, so I think it's too risky. So I'm going to go around here. We're in a bit of trouble here. It's 5v3, so we need to kind of rescue this game. So I'm looking for targets. Now I see the Hetzer here, and here's a clear example of RNG. I think that I've let the target settle on him. I think I have him a bead on him. He's going to come up after me here, because he's fairly confident in his frontal armour. By the way, I have a review of the Hetzer 2 on channel, so you can have a look at that. You may decide to go that route. Now look at that, and if you slow it down, it looks like I missed, but actually see the powder puff behind the dirt puff up. See this? I actually completely missed him. The shell passes kind of through the cupola almost and right through the back, and there are the gods of RNG against me. Anyway, back to the gameplay. By the way, sometimes that happens and there's not really much you can do about it. But this time I angle up, put it down to his lower plate and fire away. The upper plate of the Hetzer is extremely difficult to penetrate, even with a 75mm gun like I have on this. But the lower plate is more vulnerable, so if you can fire into the lower plate, you're more likely to do damage. Again, I fire here, again I miss. So when I said this is a good gun, you're probably thinking, it doesn't look like that armoured. Well, it's just the gods of RNG were just slightly against me in this game, because 9 times out of 10 that would have been a kill shot on him as well. Here I use a bit of gun depression, fire over the mound into him. Now he's a one shot for us, and my colleague in the Panzer 4D takes him out. Now we're coming around again. This time I'm not going to make any mistakes. I'm going to pre-aim my gun. Have it aimed onto him here as I come around, fire just before I go behind the hulk of the dead tank. Now we're left against the Matilda. And what I decided to do was I'm going to switch up to APCR, because the Matilda is a notoriously difficult tank to penetrate. If you come up against these in Tier 4, you will find out exactly what I'm talking about. The Matilda is a great tank. It's a British Tier 4. I actually have a video on that as well. It is extremely difficult tank to penetrate. Even from behind, you would still bounce shots on it. It's extremely well armoured. It has a brilliant gun, and it has a brilliant reload on that gun at 3.3 seconds. So basically he can put almost 3 rounds into me for every round I can put into him. So it's a very, very dangerous tank, and that's why I'm using APCR. I'm prepared to burn up the credits that it cost me, rather than run the risk of not penning him. You see there, even with the APCR round, I didn't penetrate him. Extremely difficult tank to penetrate. You need to be very careful if you're brawling with a Matilda, as I am here. I have an advantage that every shell I fire does far more damage, but as I said, it kind of evens out because he can put 3 into me for every 1 I'm putting into him. By staying in cover, using APCR, and doing sneak-a-boom, peek-a-boo, whatever you want to call it, I actually managed to win that game. I do almost 1.3k damage, and I get the mastery badge with 4 kills. I got a nice thumbs up there as well, so thank you very much. You are a gentleman. You can see here, just looking at the details, and this is what you should always do. Always check the details of your games, because it shows you what you've done well and what you haven't done. It shows you whether you're improving or not. So always check the details. Don't just come out, go straight into another game. Check the details, because that basically it gives you the breakdown of your gameplay, shows you what you did right, and therefore it teaches you the good things that you did in the game. So there you are, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Next up is the Panzer IV, which is another great tank, but there's a big leap up to Tier 5, so take your time, play a lot of games here in Tier 4, get competent, get good, and we'll see you on the other side. Okay, take care, guys. See you now. Bye, bye. Cheers, Mush.